everyone, and welcome to EntrepreNINES. I'm John Wist.
And I'm Bonni Mace. We are two Enneagram 9s who took the big leap into the world of entrepreneurship at a similar time, and this podcast is a space where we are inviting you to laugh and learn with us as we work to build businesses with soul. This is episode 34.
34. Do you know... Sorry, this is super off topic.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We haven't declared the topic yet.
I know. I was just thinking about how good we've gotten about hitting that timing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
It was very good.
We do it live every time, and so it's just...
Pat ourselves on the...
Yeah. So good.
Because you might not know this, but we don't really edit this podcast.
Yeah. Editing this podcast is like a 5-minute adventure for me.
Nice. I was literally just thinking about that because... in the moment leading up to hitting the record button, and as the...
when you had to remind me to hit the record button?
Right.
Yeah.
And as the music was playing, I was like, I think I need to sneeze.
Nice.
And I was like, how ridiculous would it be if as soon as he unmuted the mic, I'm like sneezing right into the mic?
Yeah.
That might have to be a blooper that you'd add in.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, remember that first podcast we did? And we did have bloopers every time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's because you were paid
right
to actually edit that podcast.
Yeah, because I could then spend time to like go back and like edit all the bloopers out and put them at the end.
Yeah.
It was a great part of that podcast.
It really was.
So someday.
One day.
We'll get back to it. Oh, man.
We also aren't as bloopery.
We're not. Also, I feel like we have maybe adjusted our expectations of ourselves.
That's
true. And
true.
we just let the bloopers go.
That's true. Yeah. And that was the height of COVID. So people were very like interrupting.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Well,
like, there was Evelyn in your lap for like large portions of our recording.
Yes.
Remember that? She was so tiny.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, I do remember that. Also, like... I feel like everyone was just stir crazy. And so we said some crazy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also true.
So.
And it was for a church, so we couldn't like just let it go.
Yeah.
We had to like declare this is not serious.
Right.
As a blooper.
Right.
Yeah. What a great walk down memory lane. That's not why we're here.
No, that's not why we're here.
But it was good.
Hey, so how many days after this podcast comes? What, 5 days? 6 days? 5 days after this podcast comes out.
Okay.
We start our first co-working group.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So Work Like a 9.
Work Like a 9.
Starts September 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Google Meets.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sign up at entreprenines.com. We have been in a series about the working group, about why and benefits that we see from it and things like that. And we thought that a great way to head into our kickoff week would be to end this kind of series with how we're going to end every co-working group.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm.
With goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
And we may not actually get into specific goals that we have right now, but what we thought would be fun is to go back and look at the goals we set for ourselves at the beginning of the year, which we did a podcast about this in March.
Yeah.
Which at the time we realized was very late in the game for goal setting, but we had actually both already kind of set the goals. We just didn't do the podcast until March.
Mm-hmm. That would be episode 21 if you're so interested to hear the whole thing.
21. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we would go back, look at some of the goals that we had declared in that episode, and just kind of give ourselves a little bit of a, hey, where are we on that? How are we doing with that? How are we feeling about that?
A shame-free checkup, because I will admit this, as a person building a business with soul, that my first inclination when John even brought up this idea was like, oh, shame.
For shame.
I've not done any of the things probably.
Yeah.
And it ended up not being true. There are definitely some things I didn't do. But I have worked myself out of the shame that I was originally trying to pile on my own shoulders. When John brought up this idea, I was almost like, never, we will not talk about
We can't do that. Yeah. Yeah. It's
but
okay.
Here we are.
Well, and let's go ahead and point out, like, this is why it's a part of the co-working group.
Yes.
Right? Is to de-shame the goal setting process and to be good accountability partners for each other in it, in the sense that whether you accomplish that goal or not, we can be of support.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And maybe like John, you also did for me when I was like, oh, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But things changed because,
right.
and I'll talk about this more specifically because things worked out. Like, so the goals the goals were fine.
Yep.
But as I went through them, things also needed to change. And
right.
so my goals have had to shift
yep.
a little bit too. So
yep.
That's another good part of doing it with a group. Because I feel like we can be more rigid for ourselves and be like, why would I not just follow through on that when really we're not zooming out to see
the whole picture of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start. You started us off in our original podcast. So start us off, Bonnie. What is one of the goals that you had set that we want to revisit?
Okay. So I definitely started off talking about this in that episode.
You did start the episode off talking.
I did.
About this.
Right.
Yes.
Was how I spent a lot of time on social media in my first year.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, hold on, time out. We're coming up on our second business birthdays.
Yes, I had mine.
You had yours already?
I did.
I thought we were so close.
So, yes, I do need to. And I've been thinking about it.
Birthday.
It has been a busy, August is my business birthday. August is also everybody's birthday.
Yes. I thought it was in September too. But your actual birthday is in September.
Yeah.
But your business birthday is in August.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not confusing at all.
Right. Well, and everybody else's birthday is in August. And so it's just there's just too much happening. So I need to celebrate. And thank you for holding me accountable to that.
What day is it actually? Do you remember?
I believe it is the 26th.
Oh, yeah. So in the fat middle.
Yeah. And it's 2 days after Evelyn's birthday. Right. Yeah. So it's just a whole mess of things.
Here's how it goes. Here's how it goes, listeners. It goes like this. It goes my youngest son's on the 20th. And then Evelyn on the 24th. And now apparently Unite Creative Co.
26th.
On the 26th. And then this is unrelated to John, but we have another one that we throw in there. Mark's dad is on the 28th. And then my oldest son is on the 31st.
Yeah. And then I'm on the 6th.
And then you're on, sorry,
okay.
Microphone.
It's okay.
And John's on September 6th.
Yeah. And also I have 2 nephews who also bookend that. Yeah. We have one on the 17th and one on the 31st as well. And so there's just there's just
so much cake.
So much cake. So much cake. So many people to remember to call and text and all these things. So
I forgot about your nephews too. Yep.
It has not. It popped into my head and I was like, I need to do something about that. And then it was it's just there's too much right now. I can't do it right now.
Happy birthday, Unite Creative Co.
Yeah.
Great.
So we're back.
We're back to the goal setting.
Social media.
And I was going there because I was marking the fact that in my first year, I really spent a lot of time focused on social media.
Right.
And now I'm almost to the close of my second year.
Yep.
Because my second empathetic Enneagram second birthday will be October sometime.
Yep.
So there has been a true shift in what I'm spending my energy on.
Yeah.
And what I declared, instead of spending all of my time on social media, what I declared I should spend my time on back in March was courses and a stronger email strategy and pitching to groups.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you the first thing I did.
Yeah. Tell me.
That would be pitching to groups.
Yes.
And I did it one time.
That's great.
Yes. Which feels fine for me. I did it one time. I cold emailed my son's principal.
Yeah.
It's elementary school.
Yep.
Had a few conversations with him, which basically led to me as a PTA mom and business owner putting together some welcome baskets for the new teachers at the school.
Yeah.
And going there to give them a small pep talk.
Yeah.
What I learned between May, the first conversations I had with the principal.
Yep.
And August of actually putting these baskets together and doing the thing.
Yeah.
Is I lost all the steam for the cause in the middle.
Yeah.
So the other part of this is right before I had this conversation or during the initial conversation, I thought, I've been trying to niche down. Right.
Yep.
And I thought maybe my niche is people in the first 3 years of something.
Yeah.
In a new position.
Right. Transition phases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had previously said people in a season of uncertainty.
Right.
And then I was well, maybe I can narrow that down with people in the first 3 years. And so that counted for new teachers. And so I was like, great, this will be great. And then I lost all steam and zest for it completely.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this doesn't maybe feel like the right one.
Yeah.
So that was helpful. And then I had a call with my business coach that I'm like swapping internship for business coaching.
Yep.
And she like destroyed me. She doesn't know this, but she like destroyed me in our first call because she was asking me about this idea of like the first 3-year people. And she's like, well, are really like, do people know they have a problem? And I was like, I mean, I think people know it's hard. She's like, but are they willing to fix it and pay for it to fix it? And I'm like, how do you know that? And she's like, well, if nobody else is doing it, then nobody wants to pay for it. And so off to the Google I go. There's
internet crickets.
Yeah. So after that, like basically moped for a month and a half.
Yeah. Which I will say you covered that up very, very well. Because I like, okay, when you get to like how you transition and niche, like Lauren and I found out about that through your marketing email, which is not common. Like this is not our relationship with Bonni.
No, it's not. I've been very incognito.
Bonni has like laid so low on this, like super low, super low.
Because I was tormented.
Yeah.
John, and I think a lot of it, okay, so now for EntrepreNINES, my actual niche is people undergoing like a faith shift or deconstructing.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is I've probably known that's what I need to do for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I've just been like running away from it and like frantically trying to find something that is easier or would make me more money or could be like a prettier package. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was frantically trying to find something else. And I think like my anxiety of trying to make something else work, I talked about it a lot. And then when I was finally like, basically submitting to the idea, no, you know what this needs to be, I just stopped talking about it because I didn't want either affirmation or discouragement from anybody else. And I think you and Lauren would have affirmed me. That would have been fine.
Oh, for sure.
But we know as nines,
we're not willing to risk it.
Well, no, like even the affirmation is like a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like you want to run after it because somebody else told you it was a good idea.
Right.
So that's
so sometimes having that confirmation is actually the hard part because it makes you feel like it's somebody else telling you what you should do. Yeah.
And then I want to merge harder or faster or whatever the case might be. So I did hold it really close to my chest and that's how that all happened.
That's funny.
So that was a long story.
You accomplished a goal.
Yeah.
But in the course of accomplishing the goal, you also realized that specific goal was like a one-time thing because it didn't necessarily fit where you were headed anymore. And that's not to say completely, right? Because I mean, like there could be groups you could still talk to, but the kind of group you're now going to go after is not the same.
Right. Yeah. So here's how that worked. Basically, I set the goal of pitching to more groups and I kind of like couldn't figure out who to pitch to for the longest time because I hadn't gotten clear on my niche. And so I finally found the one. I'm like, let me try this one person. Yeah. Like I have a close, contact with my son's elementary school. And so I just tried it. But then what that did, like actually working through the goal is sort of like peeled back all the layers and helped me get to where I am now. Yeah. Because had I not had those conversations with the principal and had this aha, like maybe this is it, I'm excited about this, and then let that fizzle out because it was a long runway. Yeah. And then let Allie destroy me. Like all of those things needed to happen in order to get to where I am now. Yeah. But that does mean that like figuring out which groups to pitch to now is weird because there's not a whole lot of congregated people who are deconstructing. The whole idea of me helping people on this point, one of the pain points is like, this is very lonely. Yeah. So there's not really groups of people who are hanging out like, we're the deconstructing. So there's that's not a thing. So that is kind of what I'm thinking through next is how do I gather those people up? Not sure yet.
Which, I think maybe some of your answer is like, there's a lot, obviously, of faith communities, and faith communities have people in them who are constantly questioning reevaluating,
right,
deconstructing.
right.
And so it may not be that like there's a group of people who have already like declared themselves as such, but like there's a group of people who you can talk to who
yeah.
may need to understand what that looks like and how that feels, and then go, oh,
that's me.
That is me.
That is me.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it may not be like, you know, it's kind of like me saying, and we'll get around to this, like I want to do online course stuff, but I have a foot in the door doing safety training, which is technically
it's adjacent.
Like, it's like, yeah, it's like parallel, you know, education type stuff. And so, you know, so here's a group of people who I may not have considered working for, yet they have a need for something that I enjoy doing that's in line with my goal.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a thing. Yeah. So something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So basically to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because the big summary of me is like most of my goals have now shifted because my first goal just made it so apparent that I cannot avoid niching down anymore.
Right.
Because it's hard to pick a group of people to pitch to if you don't know who you want to pitch to.
Sure.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
All of that to say, I obviously haven't made any courses, which I'm like, great, because the course probably would need to be different.
Sure.
And I have honed my email strategy a little bit, but as a result of niching down, not as a result of needing an email strategy, basically.
Yeah.
Now my monthly emails make sense.
Yeah. I think this is really, really great. I know that when you first heard the suggestion that we review goals, you're like,
I had the shame monster.
But like I just hear you saying like that the goals that you set have led you on a path to define more clearly what empathetic enneagram is.
Yeah.
And in the course of that, right, like things are now working from your like center, rather than the other way.
Yeah.
Like they're not working from the outside in, they're working from the inside out, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. I'm over here looking at the bullet points I wrote out at the beginning of the year. And it is kind of funny because they're all just like frantically like, just do the things that the experts say.
Yeah.
And so when I look at this and think this was great and ambitious, and there's nothing wrong with all of these bullet points that are here.
Right.
But I also couldn't predict where this first thing was going to take me.
Yeah.
And so that's it's nice that this thing has taken me that way, and I have to. Okay, this is the biggest thing about being an entrepreneurial soul, right? Is that sometimes your goals are going to be very measurable and celebratable in a way that like you can see the actual bullet points being crossed off.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're going to be more like mine where you see all the bullet points fall away because they don't make sense for the journey you had to go on.
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm super profitable? No. That's okay.
Yeah.
Now there's a way to get there that's more authentic.
Right.
So
right. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I think we've always tried to hold again at the center of everything is like, do we want to have quote unquote what everybody else would call a successful business?
Right.
Of course, like you want to be able to support your family, do good work, help people, but can you do all of that while also staying true to like who you are,
right,
being authentic, giving yourself space for generosity and time and people? Like, can you do all of those things? And I think, the answer is yes, but it's just a different path.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's true.
Yeah.
So there we go.
That's great.
Goals 6 months later, something like that. Maybe a few more months.
No, it is actually March. March is 6 months.
Sweet. Go us. Yeah. We're so organized. High five. All right, John.
Okay.
Your turn. Get into yours.
Yeah. So mine were basically like SEO, trying to get people to come to me via my website. Networking. So trying to do more within the networking space realm. I talked about the Chamber of Commerce. We'll come back to that. And then I know I had my last one was a financial one, but there was a third one. Shoot, I just lost it.
No, there it went.
I had it.
I don't remember.
It's gone. Oh, being more confident and focused on like storytelling and digital education. Like those as my kind of pillars. Okay. Yeah. So I would say like, the SEO one, I feel like was an easy win already.
Yeah.
Because I was already in the middle of like transitioning and building out a new website and switching over providers and everything that would just make everything already more SEO friendly. And so I've definitely seen, it's interesting because to be honest, I don't check very often.
Yeah.
But I do every once in a while, like go and look at the analytics on Squarespace. And when I compare, I don't know how I would have had to have like Google Analytics on my old one in order to know. But like,
yeah,
I know for sure that even when I was building out my website, that my domain was getting nothing before I built it out. And now I'm getting like, like maybe like 30 to 40 visits a day, which isn't going to bring me a whole lot, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And like what I've seen is like about 1,000 visits a month, which is like,
that's really good.
That's pretty great.
That's super great.
Yeah.
I don't get that many.
So, and I feel like this is what Squarespace tells me. So just,
I'm looking at mine right this moment while you talk.
So, and I have gotten a few more like interest submission forms from my website, that I never got anything off my old one. Like it just wasn't a place that I would ever get any interest from. So that's been really good. And I think it's been it's easier to navigate. It's a better representation of my portfolio and things like that. Although I need to add some things, but it's just a better representation of who I am and the work I've done. So that's been really good. So that was kind of an easy check mark, I think, for me. Networking, I would say I've gone about networking in a totally different way that I would have said was meeting that goal when we set it. And that is like, the way I envisioned it happening was like, I'm going to start showing up to chamber events.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
I had a pickleball tournament. Did you go?
No.
Oh.
And that's shifted a lot in the sense that like, I think I found my people, but they're not here.
Yeah.
they're like not, like, and what's interesting is like, I joined this coaching group and I've talked a lot about it in previous podcasts, but like I joined this coaching group. It started in June and, like it has been just kind of this whole mindset shift for me. And it's a group and the reason why it's worked for me is because the people primarily that I've connected with have the same values, like authenticity, empathy, growing a business, but growing a business in a way that is kind of inclusive of people and your family and like all that kind of stuff. And so like the people that I've connected best to in that group have those same values. Yeah. And it's not to say that there aren't people at the chamber who don't have don't have those, but it's just a group that has been, and what's crazy is it's like expanded. It's expanded to different parts of the country. Yeah. Right. So like there's now people who I'm talking to in Tennessee and Louisiana and, California and Oregon. And so like the opportunity actually has gotten a lot bigger because of that type of networking. And, the coaching group's over, but, I've met with people outside of it. We've texted and things like that. And so it's just kind of cool to have a different network than I expected. Yeah. So that's cool.
John, I'd like to also point out that now you're networking in a different way by starting a co-working group.
Yes, that is also true.
Called Regular Nine.
That is true. Yes. We are starting our own network.
Yeah.
In a sense. Yeah.
Which is fun.
So that was definitely a different kind of result than I would have expected. And then, so sticking within my pillars, I would say, so I think I've done okay. Yeah. Like most of the jobs that I've taken on now have been within that. But we talked about this. I think it might have even been on the last episode. I can't remember, but how like I like the temptation still to like flee from that because you see like money and that you can support and you can support your family. So like there's still that temptation. There's still that little bit of desire to like run to the thing that will pay the bills.
It feels like easy money.
Yes.
However, every time you actually walk into it, it's much more dramatic than what it looks like on the outside.
Yeah, it's not any time that I've done that, right? And that like you'd think by now
when will we learn?
I'd know. But anytime I've done it, it just has led to more headaches and more problems. So it's
more you going, oh, I have to go work on a job.
yeah, exactly. So, so I think it's been good to have a couple of those grounding moments, moments of humility of like, stop it. No more, John.
He just smacked his own hand, which is what you heard.
Stop it.
It's kind of funny.
So, yeah. So those were my big three. And then I had a financial goal. I think I said it.
You didn't get specific, I don't think.
Did I not?
I don't think so.
So I don't care. I had a financial goal of $10,000 a month was my financial goal. And we're in September, and September is it.
Yay! You made it in September, all the way in September?
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's interesting. It's like how do you define it, right? Because like technically like I signed contracts in August that took me above that.
Right.
But
they're not fulfilled yet.
No one paid me that yet.
I mean, how do you not define it? Money in the bank or contract signed?
I mean, I would say if we're going contract signed, there's potential that August and September could be, but it just depends on kind of what comes through in the next couple weeks. So if we're talking money in the bank, then it's just September. But
that's fair.
Yeah. Which
I
don't know how I want to define it.
Something to think about.
I'll say it's contracts because then I get to celebrate potentially 2 months worth. So there you go.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. So it's been good. It was I think that that feels good to say because, and I don't care saying it, because the summer was really hard.
Yeah.
Like it was a really, really hard summer. And so like to be on the other side of that and to have a better outlook and a better understanding of what I need to do to not make that summer happen again.
Yeah.
I think that's nice.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yes.
Or to say there's a summer slump at Unite Creative Co.
And
then be able to accommodate.
Yeah. No, and I think that that's a total possibility because I've seen it.
And I mean, not because you're slumping, but because just the industry in general.
Yeah.
Everybody's on vacation.
Yeah. And I had multiple conversations with other people that helped me understand it was just like that for a lot of people in the summer.
Yeah.
And that made me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
But I do think that moving forward, yes, it's like both. It's a both and in the sense of what do I need to do to kind of keep the momentum going, but also what do I need to do to kind of prepare myself.
Yeah, to bridge the gap.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
I think that has been one of the harder things about starting a business is trying to understand like what the rhythms are going to be. Because
sometimes there's just not.
Well, and you don't have enough data to know for yourself either.
Right.
Like walking into an organization that has been for a while, you can look at someone and say, is this a good time of year to do? And I did that so much in our ministry job.
Yep.
Is this a good time of year to do this? And you get a definite answer right away, whether it was right or not.
Right.
It's questionable all the time.
Right.
But you could definitely, I mean, sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know. Sometimes things change, but at this stage in the game, less than 3, I think Mark, data my nerd, he is always like 3 years makes trend, right?
Yeah.
And we're not even 3 years in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No,
there's no trend.
Yeah. There's no trends. There's no, that's not to say there's no rhythm, but like the rhythm is still being discovered.
Yeah.
So
it feels unpredictable because we haven't figured it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
That's
So
good.
yeah.
There you go, John.
So there we go.
Goals. Yeah. And here's what I'll say about setting a goal. Are you done? Sorry.
I am done.
I feel like I was cutting you off.
No, I was going to transition to something. But
okay.
Go ahead.
I transitioned faster.
Go for it.
Setting a goal with Work Like a 9, I will say, I remember this from our March episode that we almost didn't even call them goals. We called them aspirations,
Yes,
remember?
That's ambitions.
Ambitions. Because we were both looking at them like, this is so...
Yeah.
What is the word I'm trying to say with my hand
Ethereal.
motion? Yeah. Like they weren't graspable goals because of where we are in our business. And so to have this podcast conversation where we were talking about the whole year, they felt so big.
Yeah.
And needed to be, because even just from my story and from John's story, lots of things needed to be discovered and changed this year.
Yep.
So our goals, our big goals, needed to be more theoretical.
Yeah.
However, at Work Like a 9, we're going to work for some really measurable goals in our quick goal set.
Yeah.
Because we're going to come back the very next month with progress.
Yep.
And so we won't be talking like long-term goals like we just talked here.
Right.
As much. We'll be talking your next month goal.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the other thing, too, is we walked into that podcast episode understanding like these were year-long. Yeah. Like potentially year-long ambitions, as we put it. But, you know, like these were not like we're coming back next month and going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I would also say that made me think, too, that like, oh, shoot, I just lost it.
It's the second time like a thought has flown away from John's brain like a little bird. You could just see it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There it went.
That's such a bummer.
I
it feels so empty inside. Oh, no, I remember it now. Okay, now I don't feel empty anymore. No, I was gonna say like the thing that wasn't on either of our lists was starting a co-working group.
Oh, right.
And
that's so
what
true.
did we do in 2 months? Basically,
Mm-hmm.
is turned around like an idea, fully fleshed out, a website, a podcast series about it. I mean, shoot, like you know, like so things can happen quickly. Yeah. When you have the idea, you know, and so.
And it wouldn't have been predictable in March because I will say, you know, a lot of you have jumped on since we even had this first conversation. Our audience has grown, at least via Instagram. So John doesn't always tell me the podcast stats, and I also don't always ask for them. However, you guys have shown up more on Instagram since then, and I get more interaction with you when I go on there and post and interact with you in the comments and things like that. And so I that was the other thing, is just like, oh, maybe there are more people like us out there, John, that we didn't know existed in March. So yes, there's definitely going to be those twists and turns along the way. Yeah. But we'll be doing the measurable. Okay, let's try it.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Next month. Okay. On the spot. And then we'll be ready for our first call, which is
so true.
Soon. So in the next month, John, what's one measurable, achievable goal that you're going to challenge yourself to take on?
Yeah. So I think in the next month, so I've had a couple different conversations over the month of August and beginning of September, with a couple different businesses and people. And I think it's I'm seeing my first opportunity to kind of form a retainer kind of contract come about. Because I think there's multiple potential avenues for that with different people. And so, yeah, I think I think what I'm going to work towards this month is that first retainer contract, figuring out what that looks like, you know, what makes sense, you know. And so I've had a couple of these moments in the past year where it seems like, oh, maybe it'll go that direction. It just has never, the opportunity has shifted, the goals have shifted. And so, I think retainer contract is kind of the first opportunity. Hopefully.
Okay. So like a full draft on a paper. I
think the first, like a full-fledged proposal, all of it. Yeah.
Are you mailing it to a client, or just going to at least have it in the pocket, in your back pocket?
No, I think it'll be like specific to a specific client. I don't know which one yet, because I feel like there's probably like 3 of them that it could potentially move that direction. And so, just based off of what they need. And so I think out of those, like a very specific like retainer proposal for that person, I think
their email inbox. Okay. So John's goal, and this is what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to be a pain about it.
No, because you're good at this. This is what you...
John's goal is to research, flesh out, draft, revise, email first retainer contract to one client by our second EntrepreNINES meeting, or Work Like a Nine.
Work Like a Nine. Yep.
Meeting.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yep. For the client that it makes the most sense for. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fine. You don't have to be specific about which client.
Yeah. Okay, Bonnie.
I think I drew on myself. I was just investigating this like it was a splinter, but I think I just drew on myself with my pen.
That's funny.
My one goal is this is what I'm less good at, is coming up with my own. I think going to be to try to narrow down what my social media sounds like again.
Okay.
And to get some posts scheduled out.
Okay.
I have this horrible habit. It's not a horrible habit. Some people make content like this and it works for them fine.
Yeah.
Of like, I make something and I immediately want to post it.
Sure.
But what that does is not give me anything in my back pocket for when life gets crazy.
There's no runway. Yeah.
And so I did this last week, is I made one social media post and I was almost like, all right, let's go publish it now. Yeah. And I was like, no, I have nothing. I don't even have a slight clue about what I want to do next.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
So for me, now that I have, defined more of who I want to target and go after.
Yeah.
I think rolling that out in a way on my social media that doesn't sound like an announcement, because I have a tendency to sound announcy.
Gotcha.
On social media.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to resist being like, hello, now I'm here to serve you, wanderers.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to do it like that.
Yeah.
So just trying to introduce the idea in my voice and how my coaching things can help people in a way on social media that also doesn't give it all away. So that's the line I am trying to walk. So I think having let's say 2 weeks of content scheduled out.
Okay. So 2 weeks of content scheduled. Got it. Okay.
That'll be the goal.
All right. Good.
I'll set the goal.
That's great. Well,
I should write that down.
Yeah, you should probably write that down.
Hear my pen click.
So, this is part of what you will experience in Work Like a Nine if you choose to join us. At the very end of each of our times together, we're going to have this rapid fire goal setting time where we will write it down for you just in case you can't. And make sure that it gets back to you. And then the next month, we're going to have just a quick little how'd that go? Yeah. And so, we'd love for you to join us on Work Like a Nine. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's once a month. For now, it's once a month. Because this is new for us, and we're just going to see how it goes. And
we did establish we can't predict the future.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. So, you never know. But what we do know right now is that it starts September 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Google Meet. You can go to our website and EntrepreNINES.com and sign up there. It's $9 a month. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So we hope you join us. Anything else?
Oh, just thanks to those of you who already have signed up.
Yeah.
We're super pumped.
Woo-hoo.
I feel like this would be a very different conversation if we were at this point and none of you had signed up. We'd probably be like,
somebody please join us next week.
Yeah, now it's definitely exciting and feels like, yes, there's going to be some people, like John even said about his video coaching group, like these are going to be people who share values. Because if you're listening to our podcast, we are not giving you enough professional advice for you to say.
If there's anything you just learned in the past 40 minutes, it is that we are not experts at this.
Yeah.
Because we're still figuring it out.
But we're just people trying to live in line with our values and, live life doing it. So that is what you're for sure to encounter in Work Like a Nine.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have you. You can also find us on the internet, John and I's businesses, where we are coaching and videographing away for you as you need. All of that information is in the show notes. I will get my social media up and rolling in the next month again. And John is not focused on that.
No, never have been.
But his SEO is great.
It's pretty good.
And you can find his cool website in the show notes too.
Yeah. And don't forget don't forget to give us a rating and review so other people can find us. Guys, I'm so sorry about the noises I just made. I might have to edit that out in my 5 minutes. But we will see you next time, and hopefully we'll see some more of you at Work Like a Nine on September 18th.
Yeah, which will be Monday.
It's Monday.
The Monday after this releases.
Ooh.
Yay!
So soon.
Awesome.
Alrighty, friends.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.